Hi everyone, welcome to new semester, and today we're going to be talking about literature reviews. No, don't run, come back, come back, come back, come back, come back. Don't run away. Literature reviews can be fun if we approach them from a slightly different mindset, okay? Now, we have three objectives today in the next 15 minutes. So, what are they? First, we're going to find out what is a literature review. Second is how do we get started? Third is what are the common pitfalls do we run into when we're working on a literature review? So, let's start with the first one. What exactly is a literature review? A by the book definition, it is a critical synthesis of existing research on a specific topic. Now, this isn't just a summary, but it's an analysis of the relationships of all the papers that you read and finding the patterns or identifying the gaps in the literature. And you're probably wondering, what's the whole point of doing this, right? Well, it's to conceptualize the research and see where your work fits into the academic landscape. Yes, where your work fits in, not anything else, right? Where your thought process is. The second one is to also demonstrate your own mastery. So it's a way for you to academically flex. So you can show your familiarity with relevant studies and theoretical frameworks. The third one is to see how you identify the gap, how you might find areas that require further investigation. Now, the fourth point, avoiding duplication, isn't really a purpose. It's more for me to remind myself to talk to you about the difference between a critical analysis and a summary. So, a summary is really just you highlighting what you read, right? You're giving like the highlights and the top hit points of the studies that you're reading. We don't want that. What we want to know is what you're thinking. So, it is a critical analysis that we care about in the lit review. And what we want you to do is to evaluate the strengths and weaknesses of the studies that you read, to identify a potential connection between all the studies, and to also discuss the implication for the research question. Why is the implication very important for us in OD and as well as in our particular program? We are an implied program, so a lot of times you read these theories, and the one thing that you should be thinking about is how does this translate to the real world? So that is a type of gap that we call the science practitioner gap, right? Which we bring up here. Now, when I say I need you to think about lit reviews in a different mindset, is I need you to think about who you are academically, because a literature review tells the story of who you are in the academic field, right? What I mean by that is that you want to show your mastery, as we mentioned before, how much you know about this particular topic, as well as how you can identify two forms of gaps. One is the gap in the literature. So, what you see is missing as a common thread between all the studies that you're reading. So, your academic insights to that. The other gap is the science practitioner gap that we talked about. And that is really how what you're learning academically fits into the real world. So, understanding how it could be applied into the real world and in practice. And that's what we mean by the science practitioner gap. And the third point is really, why is this topic even relevant to you? You need to think about, why do you care about this topic? Why do you want to write about it? Because, again, a literature review tells the academic story of you. And for those of you who are working on your dissertation, when you're presenting, one of the common questions that they're going to ask you is really, why do you care about this topic? How did you come about it? What is your interest in it? So again, they care about what your thought process is. All right. Now, the next thing is there are quite a bit of literature reviews categories when you Google it. And I want to really narrow it down to the top five for you guys. And the first one is a narrative, which provides a broad overview of a particular topic. The next one is systematic, where it uses a structured methodology to collect and analyze literature. So think about this as your meta analysis. Next one is scoping. So it's like exploratory papers that examine a whole bunch of literature on a particular topic. Theoretical focuses on existing theories and conceptual frameworks. Integrative, it combines insights from different disciplines to address a research problem. And theoretical and integrative are in blue because those are going to be the type of lit reviews that we're going to be writing in this particular class. All right. So let's delve a little deeper onto that. A theoretical one, what we're really working on is synthesizing something new based off of existing frameworks, theories, and concepts. So this requires that you know how to identify gaps, understand the limitations in the literature, to potentially do one of the two. Propose a new perspective on it, or to perhaps recommend how this could be further refined. At the end of the day, what you're doing is taking these old theories and adding something new or looking at it from a new perspective. And it is only in this way do you add to the academic landscape. So that's how you should think about that. An integrative one is slightly different and very relevant because we are in an applied program. So, what it does, it connects the theoretical insights with practical applications, right? So, these are things that you need to think about. What you are learning translates into the real world, as well as combines ideas from different disciplines, fields, and your experience. So, again, I can't emphasize how important as an applied program, we need to understand how what we're learning translates to the real world, as well as we have such diverse population here where everyone has such different backgrounds and how this background can add to what we're looking at in the literature, right? Remember, in many ways, IOOP, OD, we are a multidisciplinary field, right? Many different courses of study came together to build the foundational ideas for this field of study. So, remember this and understand that your ideas make a difference and your experience makes a difference as well as your background and your interests. And then it is only when you understand this, you can also push to bridge practice with theory. Again, to close the science practitioner gap. So, how do we get started? Well, first thing is to read a lot, right? Because you need to know what is relevant out there and also what is relevant to you. So you don't want to do a paper on a debunk theory, right? So what you want to do is you want to read. So I'm going to give you a theoretical number and say you read 20 papers. Out of those 20 papers, you might see that there are 6 papers that have a common thread. Now, from this common thread, it may be something that is interest to you. And because it's interesting to you, you want to write a paper on it now, your lit review on it now. You're going to wonder, how do I start researching then? A lot of people would recommend that you start using the keywords underneath the abstract. And you can do that, but it might give you an overwhelming amount of literature to go through. The other way to also do it, which is the way I do it, is that I look at the authors and see what else the author has written. And the secondary thing is you can do this through the function in the library search as well as Google Scholar, is to see who else cited these 6 papers that you're interested in. Because if they're citing this paper, they are writing papers along the same topic that you're interested in, right? So those are the ways I would do it. And again, you can also sit with your librarian and ask them for recommendations on how to further research. Now, also, once you see that you found these additional papers that's relevant to you, evaluate the quality of your sources. If a majority of them are blog posts or conceptual papers or conference papers, they may not be enough to support your paper. What we really recommend is for you to at least have a good balance of empirical papers as well as from high ranked journals. You can find the ranking of a journal by Googling them or looking through your library search function. Organizing. How would you organize it? The way that I like to organize it is the way that it appears on the outline of my paper. So I do start an outline of my paper pretty early once I know my topic. And the way that I organize my research is basically on how they appear in my paper. And a lot of people like to do chronologies, a lot of people like to do it by author. You have to do what is most comfortable to you. I personally don't do it by chronology because unless I'm writing the historical appearance of particular uh, OD theories, I am not going to be writing it like in a chronological order. So again, figure out the way that works the best for you, right? The next thing is once you finish organizing, I really recommend you start writing, just getting your ideas on the paper. Don't worry about stylistically what it is. Get the ideas out because then you can edit for flow and for APA formatting. Now, what are some of the common pitfalls that people see? Well, overwhelming volume of literature, we talked about it. But your biggest way to counter this is to focus on a topic early. So remember what I said, like streamlining it from 20 to 6 papers, and then from those 6 papers, build out your foundational research. Next one is bias. There's like a pro and con to loving your topic too much, right? Yes, you will keep working on it because this topic is something you love and relevant to you, but you may be biased when you're writing it. The solution is to balance it with multiple perspective, and this can come into the limitations of your paper. Also be aware of your own bias, and that can also be a limitation in your paper as well. Third one is disorganization. Very, very common because there's just so much to do and people feel overwhelmed, right? There's a lot of papers to go on. But again, start your outline early and then your research will coordinate with how your outline looks, right? So once you focus on your topic and you have your research, you can start building and organizing in a way that works best for you. I do recommend you talk to your peers, talk to your professor, even the librarian and the writing center to help you organize in a way that is the best mental fit for you. Now, I want you to take a look and screenshot this page of resources. The databases are all available through the university library. Reference managers, also you can download them from our university IT. Please realize that when you use the reference managers, they are entered by human sources. So I have been known as an instructor to take off points because people did not double check the inputs within Zotero. So please do check that visualization tool. You can use Concept Map or NVivo. Template guides. My favorite is apastyle.com. If you're doing APA 7 papers, that is the primary one I would use. Again, people are your best resources. Talk to your peers, your professor. It's a non judgmental space, so please talk. Your biggest takeaway, be true to yourself and picking your topic. Make sure it's something you love. Second thing is follow the how to get started. The next thing is to ask for help as well as feedback, okay? Don't be afraid to ask for feedback. Now, the last part is a reference that I made of the different types of literature reviews that are out there. So, if you're interested in knowing more about that, please do a screenshot of this. And thank you. It was really great talking to you guys. Welcome back and bye.